As we have already explained, each minor arcana card has got two components. The first component being the number and the second being the suit. So in the case of 5 of sword, our two components are 5s and the sword. If we see, we can make out that all the 4 cards except for the first card, the other 3 are more or less on the negative side. Now, where in the 4 of sword we at least had some rest, some kind of respite from the negativity, in the 5 of swords we come back to the negativity of the sword suit. Om friends, I welcome you back to our channel Zazen Tarot Space. The card that we have brought for you today is the 5 of Swords. As we have already explained, each minor arcana card has got two components. The first component being the number and the second being the suit. So in the case of 5 of Sword, our two components are 5s and the sword. We have already seen that the keywords for 5s, the number 5, are problems, losses and fear. And we also know that our sword suit represents thoughts, and then at a broader level, ideas, communication, and also when thoughts go negative, it represents worries. Positively, it stands for truth because the sword cuts through lies and reaches the truth. Friends, we had seen in the Ace of Swords, we were offered with a new thought, maybe a victory, maybe some new form of communication, new ideas, basically new potential, new growth in the area of thoughts, ideas, communication. But in the Two of Swords, from the positivity of the Ace of Swords, we moved on to negativity and we saw a closed-heartedness, a kind of coldness. This negativity of the sword suit was again coming up in our 3 of Swords, where we saw a heart being pierced by 3 swords, a kind of heartbreak or feeling bad about somebody's communication, words, thoughts, etc. In the 4 of Swords, we had some respite from the negativity of the sword suit. However, friends, if we see, we can make out that all the 4 cards, except for the first card, the other 3 are more or less on the negative side. Now, where in the 4 of Sword we at least had some rest, some kind of respite from the negativity, in the 5 of Swords we come back to the negativity of the sword suit. When we take a look at the card, we see one man in the front and we see 2 people in the background. Those 2 people are a little distant. Behind them we see some land, some skies. The skies are not clear. The clouds are almost not like clouds. It's even the way the sky is gives us a slightly negative feeling. We see the man in the front has a smirk on his face. He is as though looking over his shoulder at the 2 people in the background. These 2 people are not facing us. They have their back towards us. And the third person really seems to be very dejected and low and kind of sad, probably giving a very clear indication of a sense of defeat, of having lost out. The 5 of Swords, friends, is a card of defeat. It is also a card of deceit and losing out. We can see this person in the front. He is holding these 3 swords as though collecting all the swords that he has won. He is collecting them, and he's in the process he has already collected 3 and 2 are still on the floor. If we look closely, this man in the front is looking very disdainfully at the other two kind of dejected figures. Their swords are obviously lost, either they are on the ground or they have been taken away by this man in the front. From the card we can clearly say that the man in the front is the master in possession of the field. This card is a very negative card. It suggests degradation. We can see the people in the background are feeling degraded. This is a card of destruction, infamy, dishonor, loss. So this card, friends, shows that this man has won at the cost of the other two being defeated. So when this card comes up in a reading, mostly the querent is the one who has been defeated. However, sometimes it can also mean that it is the querent who has been victorious, but even if he has been victorious, then we need to really question whether the victory has been ethical. When this card comes up, it usually suggests unethical victory or victory by unethical means. So friends, where we have seen that this card is all about losing a battle, losing a fight, one thing which is very important here is that this is a sword card, and we always need to remember that swords represent thoughts, ideas, communication. So the victory or the defeat that is in consideration here, friends, is related to these things, which means what? Either the person who has been victorious or defeated has been victorious or has experienced defeat due to somebody's ideas. Somebody's ideas have won over the ideas of another person or another team, maybe the other people. Similarly, probably one person has outwitted the others, or maybe one person has used communication or words in a manner such that they have won. So the victory is somewhere or the other, somehow or the other, very often related to victory through or victory of thoughts, ideas, communication. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same about truth in this case. Even though sword does represent truth, we cannot say that the truth is always victorious, because one look at the card and we can see the negativity, we see the smirk on the face of the person in the front, and we know that it is not necessarily about truth. This card could also suggest something like an argument in which somebody is victorious and somebody is defeated. So this card suggests conquest, defeat, loss, and also destruction of others, usually of the other party. This card is also about indulging in self-interest. It is about putting oneself first. It is about thinking about oneself, which is very clear in the card, since we see one person is closer and the other two are kind of neglected. This person is gaining prominence at the expense of the other two people. So this is about putting ourselves first. Now, whether it is the querent who's put themselves first, or whether the querent has been neglected and somebody in querent's life has put themselves first, will need to be analyzed based on the question and the other related cards that are drawn. However, this card does suggest more things like discord and open dishonor. What are the other detailed meanings, friends, of this card? Where we say it is about self-interest and acting in your own interest, this card is also about setting aside the concerns of others, in a way not being concerned by others, thinking of only your own needs, maybe being selfish or encountering selfishness. This is a time when you know that you must concentrate on yourself. It could also involve power plays. Obviously, this is a card of experiencing discord. At this time when this card comes up, you are in a hostile environment and you have to choose to battle. Either you choose to battle or you are forced to battle, and you do end up creating ill will. So people are set up against each other. It is kind of experiencing conflict and then having an us against them kind of a mentality. You could be witnessing open dishonor, or you may be not really able to judge the sense of morality or sense of ethics, and somewhere or the other the person concerned here is sacrificing their integrity, and in order to achieve a victory which is dubious, they are letting ends justify their means, and they are losing sight of what is right, and they're kind of not really using ethical means, and they are willing to do anything in order to achieve victory. However, we need to remember that this needn't necessarily be the querent. The querent is often the one experiencing defeat, which means what? All this is not being done by them, but rather all of this has been done to them. That means someone has been selfish towards them, or someone has created open dishonor, dishonored them maybe, or has been unethical in their kind of a challenge or fight towards them. So friends, having understood the meaning of our Five of Swords, let us take a look at the opposing cards with opposite meanings to the Five of Swords. In the Emperor card, we are following the rules, we are obeying the law, we are following law and order, we are doing things which are just and correct. Similarly, in the Justice card, it is all about having integrity and doing what is right, making sure that the scales balance. Whereas in the Five of Swords, we are not doing any of these. In Temperance, we see that we are working with others, whereas in the Five of Swords, we are working against others. Similarly, in Temperance, we are working in harmony with people, we are cooperating with our friends or with people around us. Over here, we are creating disharmony in the Five of Swords. We are also not cooperating. On the other hand, we are actually being selfish and thinking only about ourselves. In the Six of Cups, friends, this was a very innocent card. A childlike innocence is what we see here. In the Five of Swords, we see no innocence. All we see is shrewdness, deceit, lies even maybe. In the Six of Cups, this was a kind card. There is kindness in giving to others, and it is about having good intentions. In the Five of Swords, you are snatching from others. This is quite the opposite. Reinforcing cards, friends. Cards which have similar meanings. So in the Five of Wands also we experienced discord. People were up against each other, they were set against each other. Same thing as in the Five of Swords. Seven of Wands, again it was a me against them mentality along with conflict. Similarly, in the Seven of Swords, we see dishonor and we see separation from others. So all these are reinforcing cards, friends, for the Five of Swords. Friends, some of you have requested detailed videos for the major arcana. We are currently uploading the short videos for the major arcana. We will also bring for you the detailed videos for the major arcana once we are finished with the minor arcana cards. So just hang on a little with that. So from here, friends, after the Five of Swords, we will now move on to our Five of Pentacles. Let us see whether the problems and losses and fears continue in the Five of Pentacles negatively, or they bring something positive for us. Om, friends.